I'm back. Sorry about that. That's really rude of me. I'm sorry. I probably should have tested that first. I thought that maybe I'd be able to see both things at the same time, but that didn't quite work for me. So, hello, and we are back with our first live in this new environment. You'll have to tell me what you think of it. Um, And hello and good morning. So, I wanted to sort of go over a little bit about the arrest affidavit with Chris Watts, as well as the charges that were laid by prosecution. So, hello to the viewers that have rejoined. I'm so sorry if you were part of the last short live there where I couldn't quite see anything that was going on. So this arrest warrant actually says, like the arrest affidavit actually says that Shanann Watts's phone was found up in the attic, in between some couch cushions, but that her bag and everything else was sort of found, by the stairs or like near her shoes and stuff like that, right? So it's like, why was her phone all the way up on like the highest part of the house? And I would also love to know maybe who she was messaging or what she was saying because of their argument or whatever it was that had happened when she got home. Um, it's just like what happened that her phone ended up so far away from everything else that she came home with at 2 o'clock in the morning, right? Ah, bonjour. I can see this. Thank you. Francine, that's a beautiful name. So then there's also the fact that there's um, all these charges that he's got pending here. Not only does he have the three murder charges for each of Shanann Watts, Bella Watts, and Celeste Watts, but he also has three charges for tampering with the body after they were deceased, two additional charges because he was a person that was trusted, that he was supposed to be looking after the girls, and they ended up dead while he was supposed to be looking after them. So um, really, really interesting case because we can't get very much information. I know everybody was super hyped thinking that once the judge had sort of denied blocking the autopsy reports, that we were going to be able to see what that information was. However, due to the media coverage with this case, and to be perfectly honest with you, I don't think that this case would have had anywhere near as much media coverage as it's gotten if Chris Watts hadn't have done the interviews that he did with the media. He sort of created this for himself, and like I'm almost wondering, is he a mastermind at this? Did he do this on purpose so that there was a chance at there being, a failure to provide him with a fair trial, a fair court trial? Could that be, you know, what he thought of from the very get go? If his father is in law enforcement, it's possible that he had some knowledge on how to sort of try to cover this up, right? So psychotic and narcissistic, absolutely. However, absolutely crazy that he sort of started this frenzy, and now he's in this spot where it's like, well, is he going to get a fair trial or not, or is the entire state that he's in going to be completely tainted because of so much coverage with him? Nobody will have almost not heard something about Chris Watts. So yeah, I don't know if he's that smart, Sarah. It's like, because now we're coming to the point where he may actually get that kind of an argument out of his defense lawyer. So like, why would I don't know. It seems a little bit concocted, like why he would go and do those interviews knowing that he had been the person to take their lives, um, only to later hear that now he might have a trial that could be so tainted that he is not granted a fair trial, and at that point they're going to look at dismissing charges and stuff like that. Like, that's ridiculous that he could maybe possibly get away with this, all because he sort of started this by talking to the media about what happened and all that, you know? What are your thoughts on it? I don't know. Do you feel like he sort of set that up a little bit, or do you feel like it was all just by chance and you know, because like how did the media even hear about this situation and ended up on his doorstep to question him about it? You know what I mean? It should have only been the authorities that were there to question and look around and find out what was going on, but the media was there. So I don't know, it's just really odd. I'm just going to go back to the arrest affidavit here. The other thing is that it says that he backed his truck up at 5:27 a.m. So if the cameras show that he backed his truck up at 5:27 a.m., why doesn't it show him leaving? And at what time was that he left before he was pulling his truck back in? Because like that timeline would really signify what the hell happened between her getting home at 2 o'clock in the morning and him backing up his truck at 5:30, because that had already all happened at that point if he was backing his truck up, right? So I don't know, it's just really weird. What was the reason the judge overturned autopsy reports? The judge had no jurisdiction to close block the autopsy report from public view. The coroner's office is the people that have to do that. So, of course, the judge did it first, but he kind of did it a little bit ass backwards, because usually the reason that they um, withhold an autopsy report is because they have information in that report that could lead to the person who killed somebody, or could lead to, you know, more information involved in that case, right? And if they were to release that, then the public knows about it, as well as the person who did the crime, right? So like they're able to follow it a little bit better. Good morning, Lahina. Sarah, how do you say this? All the things you're sharing. Yeah, it's definitely going to be a messy case, that's for sure. All makes sense. Yeah. A lot of it doesn't make sense yet. I really, I figured that the coroner's office was going to block the report, which is why I sent my video out to you guys right around lunchtime yesterday. Because once that time hit, I realized that they weren't going to be putting that report out. And then I had second guessed myself and thought, okay, maybe they'll put it out just after lunch or something, right? And then that didn't happen. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to post my video before everybody else does, because I was pretty sure the coroner office would just be right on top of blocking that report from being seen. I just realized that this light's on. I don't really need it on. So yeah, I was pretty sure that the judge and the coroner's office had probably already spoken with each other, and because the judge had to deny keeping the reports blocked, he also had to make sure that the coroner's office was on top of filing the proper paperwork to block it, right? Thanks. You love my cabinets. I thought this might be a nice little backdrop for our discussion groups. I don't know. I'm trying to be innovative and not have you guys be bored looking at the same thing or something. So just a little bit of a different view. I love the see through. Yeah, I do too. Like Tupperware and then my dishes and glasses and stuff. It's a really nice way to sort of display all of your things, I think. Thank you for the thumbs up from whoever sent that. That's awesome. So, like, how come, like, my big thing is like the neighbor has camera footage of Chris Watts leaving at that 5:27, and clearly the all of the investigators have footage already. So if he was pulling in at 5:27, like where was he from 2 o'clock in the morning until like 5:30? And what was he doing? Like that's what I would love to know. And there should be camera footage of that, unless he just never left the house, and that's, you know, like 5:30 is when he was leaving with the bodies. But that seems like close time to be disposing of dead bodies in a work site that people are going to be at pretty soon. I mean, foremen and, supervisors that come in early and stuff. Like, I don't know. Like, there is a lot of mysteries to this case, which makes it so interesting to talk about, right? Hello, Holly. Too many Thrive videos. Yeah, Sarah, I can agree. I mean, I understand. I'm okay, Holly. Thank you. I understand her want and desire to strive for success and even to help people. Like if she truly believed in the product, you guys, I can understand her putting it out there as much as she did and as often as she did. You know, there were some videos that didn't seem as sincere as others, or more fumbled, like it didn't seem, she was definitely super motivated, Sarah. So, I mean, like we have to think about it in the sense of like ourselves, right? If like I used to sell party light and I was a huge enthusiast about, the candles and the wax and the holders and that was before a lot of the online, you know, kind of vlogging and all this like, video stuff. But regardless, I can remember being that like enthusiastic about talking to people about the candles and about the product and stuff like that. So yeah, I love party light myself. My mom sold Tupperware and I sold party lights. So we like to swap with each other and give each other stuff. That was a long time ago, like 20 years ago plus, that are right around there anyway. Can I guess which family members both sides may have to testify in court? Well, I can imagine that some of Chris's family might testify against how Shanann acted or treated him, maybe. But I don't know how much that'll play a factor because a lot of it would be hearsay or, just it's not super pertinent. Good morning, Patricia. So, I'm not sure if they will put some of his family on the stand. I could see them going and finding some of his college folks, like the gentleman, Mr. Hogue, I think it was his name or something, that he spoke out about Chris Watts, knowing him all throughout college and stuff, and how he wasn't a partier, that he was a really hard worker, he was really dedicated, and that all the other guys were going out partying like every night, and it just wasn't his thing, and made him sound like he was a very dedicated, devoted, um, guy to his studies and stuff, which makes him seem like he has a good character, right? He's focused, he's wanting to do better, he's learning, he's, I don't know, like that's all good things, right? So, but I think that's what makes this case so odd is that he just seems so normal up until sheer chaos happened and tragedy, and then it was just abnormal from then on. And we've just been trying to figure it out ever since, by looking over his videos, by going through, the way he talks, how he stands, how he acts, what he does, how he, even eats or breathes. Like we're just trying to figure out what the hell makes a guy go from normal to, not normal and killing his entire family. Like I mean, there are some people out there that are so angry at their family and still could not do something like this. And the way that he disposed and stuff of them, like I don't know, like it's just so, yeah, like what made him snap like that? You're right, Holly. It is scary, Lenina, because like if you're in a relationship right now with somebody that you quote unquote think is normal and you think everything's going well, you have no idea now if that person's going to snap one day. Like it is scary not to know, who somebody really is. If he's going to keep it bottled up, what's bothering him, or he doesn't appreciate the way that, Shanann's talking to him or what she's doing, and he doesn't say anything about that, that's only going to fester and build over time. You have to let it out somehow. You have to deal with the feelings somehow. And if you don't, I suspect this is what happens. You just explode and just go off the deep end. But that's just so sad that he allowed himself, someone so dedicated to his schooling and bettering himself and learning and being a good person, could turn into this kind of a monster. Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of normal life videos, you're right. And there definitely wasn't very many family ones. There was one particular one where the girls were pretty young that I saw, and they were running around the living room, and Shanann was trying to video them having fun together. And Chris got involved. He wanted to play with them, and she was like, Chris, get out of the video. I'm not trying to video you. I'm just trying to video them. And I was like, aw, he just wanted to have fun. He saw the girls were having fun, laughing, and running around. And, I was like, that's kind of, but in my own parenting, in my own life, I can remember being impatient or losing respect for the father of the child because of their actions. And if she knew that he was cheating in any way or doing anything inappropriate behind her back on his phone, or talking to someone else in an inappropriate way, while married, like, I could see Shanann losing a huge amount of respect for him. And then at that point, it just becomes her belittling and sort of shooting at his ego all the time, right? So, and that just sort of went on and on and on. And that just never seemed to stop, it looks like, and maybe it was kind of fun in the beginning, but it didn't, I don't know. It probably didn't do anything very good for him inside. And, that definitely, I think, would create for some chaos inside of his head and his heart. Yeah, Patricia, protect yourself. Yeah. Oh. I have my brace on so I can lean over a little bit here, but everything is your fault. Yeah, when somebody makes you feel like everything is your fault and they don't want to take responsibility for any part of any of it, I honestly feel like that's one-sided, and it shouldn't. Sorry, fruit fly. It shouldn't be one-sided. Yes, you caught the live. Hi, Nancy. Um, if anything, I would recommend, trying to see someone, if you're in a relationship where things aren't going as expected, try to talk to somebody who's a professional in that department. Um, because there's ways to rekindle and stuff, but if you damage it too much, I think there is a point of no return, um, where the relationship is just completely damaged, and there's nothing else you can do. Chris around Greeley, Colorado before this all happened. Yeah, people say that, Holly, people say that he was really normal type of a guy, but that's, I think, what makes this so scary and interesting. It's like the whole family seemed really normal, and then all of a sudden, chaos ensues, and four people are dead, including baby Nico. Yes, Eileen, Nancy, we're talking about the Watts case for sure. The difference of you talking today feels real. Yeah, I understand what you mean, and I think everybody just relates with the camera, and interacts with people differently. She had somewhat of a team already, so the people that supported her were the ones that would definitely be logging into a lot of those lives, and if you notice the same person, commenting in several of them, that person was probably part of her team. Yeah, it's weird, Francine, that psychopaths seem normal because I guess in our mind, in my mind as a normal person, I see a psychopath as looking like a monster somehow or something. Meanwhile, that's never the case, right? I always try to think, well, they probably look mean or scary, but it's scary that it's the nice ones that are the mean and scary ones. Like I've said it a few times, but it makes me want to stay single for life, you know? Because I would so much rather, be alone than to be unhappy in something, in a relationship that wasn't working or, wasn't good. Any information on the mistress? Yeah, the I'm just gonna open up my window quick second here, let the light in. I don't like the yellow lighting. It's still kind of yellowy, but whatever. um the mistress woman and the people, that was in his life before he went to jail. One of them has sort of come forward a little bit, but I think that they're probably keeping everybody kind of under wraps because they need to do this trial and they need to kind of grant him this fair trial. So if everybody starts talking about everything that Chris did or Chris was, or excuse me, you can imagine how fast that news is going to travel and how many times it might change through traveling, right? So that could just completely taint the fact that they need 12 people to sit and listen to his case, completely unbeknownst to any fact of any clue of anything about him. Because if they know anything about him or they know anything at all about the case, they can't be a juror because they could potentially be biased, to one side or the other. I don't get this Chris sympathy. No, Joan, it's really not Chris sympathy. Honestly, I think we're just trying to pick apart who this guy really is. The jury will kind of make or break this trial. That's kind of true. But that's kind of why I fear that there may be a mistrial in all of this because of the media just blowing stuff up. So I think that's why there's been so many blocks on so much information, including his visitors list, which was just released, by the way. I still don't have that information for you guys, though, yet. You worked with psychopaths and parolees for years. Yeah, that's kind of a scary job for sure. The trial can't get here soon enough. Yeah, I know, Nancy. Um, I'm not sure if there will be a mistrial. I feel like there's probably so much information that we still just yet don't know. Um, Much of it about her side and her family, and then a lot of it about his background, I'm sure. Yes, Sarah, a retrial could potentially happen. Yes, I think that Anne Gilmore, I think that she maybe did talk to her family about problems with friends or family. I also think that some of those people might be coming in to testify against Chris, but we don't have any of that info yet. So somebody had asked me who I think might come to testify on both sides, and I feel like that could be friends and family of both sides, for their sides. So um, she didn't tell them. Yeah, see, like that's what I wonder. If her phone was all the way upstairs in the attic, to me it seems like um, she was privately securing herself away to talk to somebody about something. So I don't know. I don't think he did have the gay lover, turned out to be a complete hoax. that person actually was couch surfing and hurting for money, and he saw an opportunity to sort of jump in and get paid some money for telling a story that really it wasn't even true. So that's unfortunate actually, but it's sad to see, like, in my opinion, that's somebody who takes advantage of a tragic situation, not somebody like me who's just trying to talk about it and figure out what the hell happened and how this could have happened, and why. Like, uh, but yeah, I know, right? I was really shocked to hear that, and I thought that's super wrong of that guy. I mean, I don't care how bad of a situation you're in, you don't need to use someone's tragedy to get paid from that. Like, I mean, that's brutal. And you're lying on top of it. I mean, it's different, I guess, if maybe you're getting paid for something that you're telling that's truthful, but he was lying. So that's just bullshit, in my opinion. Like, sorry for swearing, but like, come on, kid. Like, what's your deal that you feel like you had to go and smother his name even worse, though? Like, right? His name, Chris Watts' name is smothered to crap right now with the fact that he killed, four people. And this guy comes out of the woodworks just to make some money off of it. I thought, well, that's brutal. That's really harsh. But I think he did have two mistresses, but I think they were both women. I think it was people that he worked with, but I'm not positive on that. I feel like one was where he worked and there was someone else that was from somewhere else or something. And I actually wonder if it wasn't like the neighbor or one of her friends, you know? More than one. Yeah, I do think that he may have had more than one affair, more than one, partner or whatever. Yeah, I know that was a really shitty thing to do, Nancy. I totally agree. Is going to testify against Chris Watts, stating that he had rough sex with her. I will show that comment. So, Maria, I'm so curious how you found that information out about the rough sex. Was that just something that you read in the media? Because I find that they kind of try to embellish things, that they pull things out of nowhere just to get the ratings, just to get the views, just to get the clicks. You know what I mean? And I mean, people accuse like me of doing stuff like that, and I honestly feel like I don't fit in the same category. Um, yeah, the mistress story, Nancy, will probably be really interesting. I'm sure that she'll have some insight into his psyche, his feelings, and sort of what was going through, you know, his home and his heart and everything, right? No matter how good he used to be, it's not an excuse that he killed his family. If it's got something to do with vulnerability, really wants to. Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Anne. I definitely agree with you that it's no excuse to kill anybody. Definitely, 100%, 1,000% agree with you on that. I wonder too if he didn't have like that grass is greener on the other side type of I want to try this other woman in this other relationship or whatever and make this work. Maybe he felt he got along with her better or she treated him better or whatever the case was. I too think that he sort of wanted to, you know, go with somebody else and he ended up making the completely wrong choice on how to do that. And now his life is gone too. And that's how I see it. He might not be dead, but his life is totally gone. He's he's done. Like, I don't think he's gonna be getting out. His mistress is written on the witness stand in favor of the prosecution. How did you get a copy of the prosecution's witness list? Is what I'm curious about. I don't think he did it because of the way Sean treated him. I think Sean treated him that way because he was cheating. Yes, I think that she probably lost respect for him because he was cheating. Um, but I still think that he did do this. I mean, the scratch on his neck and stuff when he was being interviewed, um, that's pretty big in my opinion. Like, it just happened, they just went missing, and you have a mark on your neck that looks either like a bite mark or a scratch mark or something. Um, Definitely suspect. I think she is dominating, and he was. Yeah, I think she was very dominating and a go-getter. And I think that's probably one of the things that he liked about her. Um, but it just ended up going, the wrong way, and mistreatment came into it. I don't know. He thought he could get away with it. Yeah, I don't know how he thought he could get away with that either, and it's just crazy. Just posted on special Facebook post. Oh, interesting. Is that like under the Chris Watts Facebook page or? Sorry, guys, I keep fidgeting with my hair because it's just all over the place. I had it up in my. It was wet last night, so I had it up in my curling thing, and it's the curls are all over the place right now. Um, well, Sarah, I feel like we kind of know how she treated him by some of the videos, and I feel like we're going to learn a lot more as the trial starts. But so many people are saying that she just, yeah, it's true. You can kind of you can see that in some of them. Francine, that's kind of what I'm wondering. Are they? I don't think they're even going to allow hearsay in. It's going to have to be absolute direct. You know, whichever family member saw or heard something, that's going to be the person that will be on the stand to tell that specific story. That's what I think is going to end up playing out. She seemed fiery and would like to be another woman who found out she wasn't innocent either. Yes, okay, so that being said, though, Nancy, that's no reason for him to kill her, like at all, right? I mean, that's ridiculous. No matter how fiery, no matter how rude, no matter how whatever she was, he could have walked away and saved his own life and saved four other people's in the process. In one video, it showed a scratch on her neck. Yes, I saw that, but I think that was a scar from her surgery for her thyroid issues. And you love my hair. Thanks, Nancy. His ex-mistress stated that he stimulated strangling her. Yes, I did hear about that actually, about the whole strangulation and during sex thing. I wonder how true it is. I don't know. And yes, she had surgery, Patricia. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. I didn't see huge, overly crappy treatment, but there were some things that I was like, oh, that wasn't very nice, or where you could see that Chris was just going to get into having some fun on the camera, and she was like, no, get out of here, like, I don't want you on the camera. So I thought that was a little bit weird. But that's what makes me think that she had lost some respect for him in some way. And that's what makes me think that she probably knew about his cheating, which means she probably discussed some of this with either her family or her friends or somebody. Like somebody had to be close to her to, like, I don't see her as the type of person who's going to keep something like that in. She's going to want to talk about it. She's going to want to get it off her chest, mull it over with somebody, right? When he finds out has a mistress. Yeah, watch out. Exactly, right, Francine? That's what I was thinking. Like, yeah, like she is fiery. So if she would have found out anything like that, you could tell she probably would have been up one side of him and down the other, spinning him around. Why kill innocent kids? See, and that's where we're not sure what the hell happened, right? Right? Like, does any of his story hold water? I don't think so. I really don't think so. But, like, why? I don't know why the autopsy reports are being withheld, and some of that information maybe could be in there is sort of beyond me, because as I was saying when I first started this, is the only real reason that they keep an autopsy closed is because they don't want to divulge information that could um, you know tip off the killer, or the person who committed the crime, So, yeah, he did seem to kind of adore them. Yeah. Said she thought he was cheating. Yeah, I'm not sure because in the arrest affidavit, it says something about the friend here. Let me find it. Um, oh, where is that? Sorry, you guys, we just went into dead time while I read this a little bit. Mm. Shoot, I can't find it fast enough, you guys, and I feel bad. Like it's just complete dead time right now that I feel bad. I just remember them saying something about her dropping off Shanann and they didn't see anybody get dropped off or something like that. And I was like, well, that's super confusing. Like, so did her friend drop her off or didn't she drop her off? Because that's what it kind of sounded like in the arrest affidavit. Why them oil? Yeah, I don't think that the oil would have stopped any DNA either, you guys. I really feel like there is a way that they can separate that, but I don't know. I could be wrong. I'm certainly not any kind of a doctor or forensics or any kind of specialist in that area at all. Um, but I would think in this technology day and age that there is probably something that they can use to separate the oil from the DNA, um, which will show, in my opinion, it will show either Shanann or Chris's DNA under the kid's fingernails. So whose? I don't know. Probably Chris. Yes, I'm thinking, but we can't really say until we see the evidence, right? Do I think Thrive had something to do with the change? Patricia, I feel like I feel like the Thrive was just something that just added pressure to Chris Watts. I feel like it was probably his credit card that was used to pay for a lot of those shipments, for a lot of those products, which a lot of them got given away to people who they were trying to get to sign on, who would love the product as much as they would and sell it as much as she was, right? Yeah, Maria, I know. I'm pretty sure that she would have talked to a friend about it. He dumped her, but reason why would he not be that's the case in the interviews? Yeah, that is really strange that he was so like calm and composed for these interviews when just hours earlier supposedly is when all of this went down. So it really just makes no sense, right? No kisses, snugs, none of that. Yeah, yeah, Sarah. Shannon's friend Nicole also listed on the witness list in favor of the prosecution. Right. Her friend was on a video. I think I did see the one about her friend. Yeah, it was her best friend, Nancy. Yeah. I wanted to record that to share it, but I didn't really want to impose on that whole situation. I know it was her best friend too, and but it's just so heartbreaking, all of it. No, I don't, Nancy. I think you're right. Shanann wasn't perfect. I don't think she deserved to die over all of this, though. And that's the big thing here. Is like Chris, you could have walked out of that home and not gone back. You know, taken your name off of things and left if you really wanted to. But Uh, yeah, I can barely wait for the truth either, Twinkle Star. Yeah, I wonder why he has a picture hanging of them in his cell, and I don't know if that's like a way to sort of gimmick what what's happening or whatever. I don't know. Like, is he putting on a show that he really cares and it really wasn't him? Or, yeah, that's really weird, right? Yeah, I understand your frustration, Joan. Working. Hi, Yvette. Thanks for watching that. I really love the support of all of you guys. I just have to say, like, it's really nice to interact with each other. It's really nice to follow stories together and get all the information together. I certainly don't feel like a know it all. I love it when you guys can add to my story or add facts, or you found something out that I didn't know and you can share a link. I mean, that's awesome. I think it's really great that we can come together like that and just sort of try to hash this out, like what the hell happened and why the hell did this happen, you know? Yeah, none of us are perfect. And you're right, Patricia. It does take two to tangle. I have said that before. It does. And I usually say tango, but yes, tangle, tango, same thing, right? I think that Thrive probably made them a little bit irritable because I remember Shanann talking about how much energy they had, how much energy Chris had, that, she'd clean the house from top to bottom and stuff. So I think that the caffeine and stuff really, shoots you up, but then you're going to crash eventually too, right? So I think that the Thrive maybe played a part in the fact that it elevated their internal, like, internal organs or whatever, right? The internal oomph. Thrive made him get the urge to get a mistress. I don't know about Thrive making him get the urge to get a mistress. I think definitely, just not being able to be himself, I guess, or just constantly being told like get out of the way, and I don't know. It's not okay whatsoever what the hell he did, but it makes you wonder, at what point did he decide, like, this isn't what I really want anymore? And why did he decide this was the best way out of it? I don't really trust very many people either, to be honest with you, Nancy. I feel far more safe just being, alone in some senses. There's people all around me and I have lots of friends and stuff, but as far as, that person who's going to be living with you and sleeping with you and stuff, I don't know. I've been through a lot of relationships and recently just broke up with a narcissist. So I'm kind of like I'm pretty done with the whole dating scene. I just want to travel a little bit and see the world, and I don't know, follow some of these stories. I would actually would really really like to go to the trial, if they would allow, you know, um, like people like me in there. I would love to get some of my own footage for you guys personally from my hands. You know. Let's just say more telling similar activities. Yeah, a lot of her spending time away from the family was a little bit odd. But he did go on some of those too, where the grandparents were watching the kids. So it's not like he was kind of excluded from that. But again, I feel like it was more his credit card that probably paid for a lot of those things. And as much as the Thrive was saying things are all inclusive, I'm not really sure how all inclusive things really are. And if you wanted to buy anything or do anything, it probably cost. So maybe your flight and food and your hotel was paid for, but what about the rest of it? Mm, more than Peterson, yeah. Oh, that Scott Peterson case too, though, is just brutal too. Yeah, I don't understand the stone face in court. I feel like he's just empty. The Turpin case is back in court on, I believe it was 19th, is it? No, I have to go back. I think it might be the 19th actually, but there's more news definitely coming about the Turpin case. It's just been slow going for them as well. I feel like this case has actually been faster going because he was just arrested in August for this, and we're already about to maybe we're hitting a trial conference readiness conference on the 22nd of November. It took us like 8 months to get into a trial readiness conference with the Turpin case. I mean, ridiculous amount of time. But I mean, you have to take into consideration the amount of journals and the amount of evidence, in each case. Like the Turpin case, there's like, 20 plus years of journals that they had to go through, page after page after page. You can imagine how much manpower, how much that would take, especially if it had to be just a small group of people that were really focused on that. That's a lot of evidence versus the Watts case. There really isn't that much evidence. It's kind of a more cut and dry type case. We're thinking 19th of November. Yeah, no, that's for the Watts case. I meant for the Turpin case. I think it might be the 22nd of October. I wonder if I can look that up quick here. Let's see what they say. I'm pretty sure it's this month, though. I was pretty sure it was somewhere in and around the 20th, but of course it takes forever to load any pages while I'm on a live. Bye, Eileen. Are you leaving? Nancy, sorry. Oh, you have to go. Okay. See you again next time. Take care. Take care, hun. I'm scared to date too. Yeah, Patricia. It's just such a crazy world out there now. Like, seriously. I better catch up on some of these comments. How can you tell if somebody is a narcissist, however you spell it? Susan, I feel like, okay, so the way that I feel like the narcissist is that like they match sort of everything. Like it just seems like the perfect soulmate for you. Everything you like, they like. Everything you want to do, they want to do. Everything that you don't like, they don't like. You know, whatever causes you're for, they're for it. Like it's, and then all of a sudden, it's like they can help any and everybody. So they seem like they're the nicest person in the world, to everybody else. Yet behind closed doors, they're a liar, or that, nothing that they say ever came true. They're angry, they're violent sometimes. Thank God my ex narcissist was not violent, but he was certainly a pathological liar and definitely, a narcissist that everybody thought that he was a good guy. Meanwhile, nothing that ever came out of his mouth was really very nice. He talked really rudely about even his own friends, which is just crazy, because none of them would believe me even if I told them that. And some of his ex-girlfriends had tried telling his friends like that he talked shit about them behind their backs and stuff like that, and they didn't believe her, those girls. So I was not going to be another one of those. I thought I'm just going to walk away from this. It had only been 3 short months, and I could see so many inconsistencies in the fact that he seemed so perfect on the outside, and then once it really got inside, he was not perfect at all. You're dealing with that now, Patricia. I'm telling you, it's way better to just leave and be single than to deal with that kind of a mess and then have it potentially end up like the Watts guy. I mean, seriously, it's not worth your life, and you don't know which one is crazy enough to do that versus which one isn't. Oh, I totally don't mind, Sarah. It's really awesome to do this together. Um, I'm just going to try to answer up some few last questions. I try to keep this in and around 1 hour for us, um, to just sort of talk about whatever we can get in. He even convinced my counselor I was a bad person. See, yeah, no, Patricia, you don't need somebody like that in your life. And if the counselor is going to be siding with somebody like that and not you, I mean, honestly, or they should be completely in the middle, like not for either one of you, but just trying to see it from an outsider's point of view. But I mean, if you're feeling like that's one-sided, that counselor, in my opinion, is not doing anything good for you anymore. And I would find a new counselor for yourself personally and just walk away from that. But that's my opinion. Seriously, you don't have to listen to me. Yeah, Francine, I've cried a lot for the Turpin case too. I literally cried for the Watts girls once I found out Chris was the one that killed them. I thought that was just heartbreaking. At least the Turpin kids have a chance at life. They have a chance to better themselves. The Watts girls had that taken away from them. That's just brutal by the person that they trusted yet. That's just heart wrenching. Yes, Twinkle Star, we'll see you again next time for sure. The trial of the Watts is more rapid because Chris Watts. Yeah, he did confess. That's true. Versus the Turpins are sort of claiming they're not guilty, which is brutal. Like honestly, Patricia, where are you from? What country are you from? If you don't mind me asking, like the US or Canada or the UK. Although I don't know very much about the UK, I can kind of answer a little bit of questions about what you could do in Canada or the US. Because there are plenty of programs out there that will help. Yes, Yvette, I agree. It's exaggeration. Chris Watts takes a deep breath as the judge reads murder charges beginning with Shan, preparing himself to hear the terrible realization. Yeah. Oh, so you're in the US. Okay, so in the US, Patricia, there are plenty of places that a woman like you can go for help, that you can actually stay probably for free until you can get up on your feet. Some of them are women's shelters. Some of them are, Salvation Army type, place shelters that you can go for help, right? And then there's, of course, there's the system. There's the welfare system. Now, I understand nobody wants to stay on welfare for a long time at all, right? But to get yourself on your feet and away from somebody who could potentially hurt you, it would be a wonderful thing for you to use. I think, in my opinion, that's what it's there for, is to help, not to be taken advantage of. So definitely, in my opinion, I would get my whatever things were mine, I would take out of there and leave when he wasn't home, because you don't want to cause conflict. So if you do it while he's home, he could explode, and who knows, worst case scenario, you could lose your life in just trying to leave, right? So play the game a little bit by not causing too much friction with him. Gather your things when he's not around, gather whatever you do need, and get out and go to one of those shelters. You can hopefully you have a cell phone. If not, you can check at a public library online. They usually have computers there that you can use, for shelters in your area, for phone numbers that you can call for help, to get away from this situation and restart over. Don't get me wrong, it's a shitload of work, but it's worth it in the end for your safety. I've had to start over a few times in my life. I've been with some people who were not healthy for me, who were sometimes abusive, sometimes not. So regardless, yeah, get your ducks in a row and don't let him know what's going on, because I feel like if you forewarn him, that could set off a situation that could be deadly. So best thing is to just walk away. Know your worth. You're worth more than that. You're worth better treatment than that. And if you have to start over on welfare in a bachelor suite, you know, that's what you're going to do. And you're going to build yourself up from there, get yourself a better job, move on, and there's programs and there's all kinds of different things that you can use. Thank you, Francine. But even, yeah, like just be smart about it. Like you don't want to set off anything. So yeah, like if you guys ever need any help or advice, I sincerely encourage you to email me or shoot me a message or whatever. I'll put my email address up for you guys here again, because honestly, I do love all of you guys, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I don't know any of you, but I do love our interactions, and I think that you guys are great. So I'm here to help. I'm definitely one of those good souls. So yeah, this has been really awesome, you guys. I don't know if there's any last minute questions here. Um, Tried to leave a few times so he will come find you. Well, you need to go to a shelter that would never disclose that information, and those battered ones will never give out your information or tell him where you are. And it might mean changing your phone number too, so that he's literally cut off from being able to contact you. Um, that's you taking back your power, Patricia, is just saying like, I'm not okay with this anymore, and I'm going to cut the ties, and you're not going to find me again. This is it. I'm taking a stand for myself because I don't deserve this. And you don't. Nobody deserves to be mistreated. And if that's how he's controlling you, you can just imagine how much worse it's going to get with even more time. So, in my opinion, it would be a save yourself now, but just make sure you have it all arranged properly before you make the big plunge. So there's no way for him to come and find you. Take the power back. That's my suggestion. So yeah, and I feel like if you're in one of those shelters, they definitely wouldn't divulge the information that you're there. They're there to help you. Thank God I figured that out sooner than later. Get too far into it. Yeah, no kidding, Susan. Do you think Louise Turpin may have a slight development disability? I think she's got some sort of something mentally is sort of not ticking properly with her. I don't really know what it is, and I definitely don't think it's enough that she deserves just some mental treatment and all charges dropped and she gets to walk free. Are you kidding me? Like that would just set those kids into a spiral of downward that the judicial system has. They can't have any faith in that. And they certainly don't really have any protection with CPS at that point if they're just going to let, their mother walk who did all of those horrible things. Yeah, I don't know about smarts. I think she was just manipulatively mean, and the way that she controlled her kids and how she did that was wrong. And I think she knew that. That's why she hid it and kept those kids up all night and sleeping all day and not in public schools and away from neighbors. And hi, Jeremy. So it's just like, honestly, she knew what she was doing was wrong. And there's just no getting out from under that one, in my opinion. It doesn't, she's not that mentally not there that she didn't know what she was doing was wrong. So violence program. That's really good advice, Maria. Thank you. I'm sure Patricia can see that. Found you a couple of days ago. I gotta go now. Have a great day, Patricia. You're welcome, honey. Love you guys. It gives me goosebumps to know I'm helping. So I honestly love all of you guys. So this has been a really, really great gathering, a really great live chat, and we'll definitely do it again next week, Tuesday, between 9 and 10 a.m. for GMT time. I believe that's, well, it varies time frame everywhere. Time zone changes. So if you know that my zone is GMT, which I was putting it as Eastern Standard Time, but it's actually Mountain Time, or like, so I'm sorry about that. So between 9 and 10 a.m. ish, so it should be good for Tuesday. So we'll see you again next time, okay, you guys? Have a great day. Thanks for watching, and stay safe out there. Bye for now. On my calendar.